That's the biggest one when I went to go look at, hey, what's going on in this uh, in this business we call show.
Fuck off.
I,
Go to hell.
I heard someone say that unironically. It's disgusting. Um, fucking barf, dude. Uh, Epic Games is. It seems like the FTC hammer is in fact going to come down. What a weird thing where there's four decision makers. Originally, three were against them, one was for, and then there was a 50-50, and then people are getting palms greased. Who knows what's going on with the whole Activision merger with EA takeover bit, right? But the FTC they're staying busy. Because besides the antitrust case going on, they just hit Epic with a gigantic case where they are ordered to pay 275 million as a penalty for violating children's privacy laws and 245 million in refunds for tricking people into making unwanted charges and use of dark patterns.
So I took a look into this. I can't tell you anything about the dark patterns, but I can tell you about the privacy violation, and I can tell you about the tricking people into buying things.
That's okay, because I can tell you all about the dark patterns.
Okay, great. So first off, privacy violation. The game starts with your microphone turned on by default.
Yes.
And it's marketed towards children, and it takes your data without telling you. So right off the bat,
yes,
big privacy violation. Second of all, the complaints about accidental purchases. For the longest time in Fortnite, it's gone now, but for the longest time, there's no confirm on purchasing anything.
Right. So
and you could accidentally buy things as a bug inside loading screens, and while the computer was booting from sleep mode.
Yeah. So they break it down actually directly on the FTC.gov website. They explain in detail each of the allegations, and the way it's phrased is in most cases pretty fucking damning, especially when you consider that a lot of these are things that Epic employees brought to Epic's attention, pointed out that this was like fucked up, and they not only refused to act on it, but in some cases continued to obfuscate and like essentially like move the features around or like and push back on it, right? So in particular, the one when it comes to the microphone being on by default, right? Which is, and you know, FTC is like the lodge that like, yeah, it's led to harm and abuse and stuff like that because children are jumping on, and the mic automatically being on means kids are just jumping into situations
they're going, yeah, I'm playing
they're
Fortnite,
not consenting to. Exactly.
And some 25-year-old fucking asshole just goes, shut the fuck, you stupid kid, and like scares the baby.
Exactly. Employees expressed concern about that default setting. They urged them to change it as far back as 2017 is what it says. And not only did they kind of ignore that, they then eventually they pushed back on even adding a mute button to begin with entirely, right? Mm-hmm. And when they finally did add one, they made it hard to find.
And when I started playing Fortnite, it was a pain in the ass to figure out how to turn the microphone off.
Crazy, right? So this is all just stuff where they're like, "Oh no, we know it's deliberate, and we want to annoy you because this is what otherwise attracts the kids in, right?" So that's straight up what they're going for.
You know what one of the other reasons is? One of the old business talks they had about DLC stuff implied that one of the things about the skin economy is to create a situation where children are shamed by other children for having the default skin, and that likely led to like, well, we got to keep the mic on so people make fun of the kids for being default losers, and then they go to the store which has no confirm button on it, and they look at a skin and they hit the button, they go, oh well, they got the skin now.
It's fucking just the awareness and the predatory nature of like shit like that is crazy, and that's basically what they're kind of like underlining, is that along the way this is not a case where it's a game that happens to be played by kids and is also played by adults, and it's you know, it's kind of falling, it's like it's unfortunate that they're included in an otherwise larger target that's their main demographic of adults. this is marketed towards kids. It's much more specific,
Oh
and
yeah.
like, and in many cases, Epic was demonstrating that not only they're full aware of that, they're targeting exactly those behaviors, specifically stuff that can escape parental notice. You know, so there was exactly all that, all the stuff about the way you could purchase stuff. That's what they're discovered. That's what's being described as dark patterns, which is a fucking interesting term. But dark patterns are essentially anything that tricks you into buying or making a purchase unintended, and then of course giving you no ability to really fight back against that or cancel that out, right? So you could be charged while attempting to wake up the game from sleep mode, as you mentioned, in a loading screen, pressing an adjacent button while attempting to preview an item, right? So they're like, all of that led to hundreds of millions of dollars in unauthorized charges for consumers. And the thing, of course, is that if that happens and you're like, oh, so in some cases, kids are just going to be like, ah, fuck it, whatever. Oh, well, I bought it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's credit cards, parents, whatever, you know? But if you actually tried to charge back, or if you were a parent who said, hold on, I didn't authorize this purchase, Epic would then ban your account or block, and including all other purchases you've made at that point, that were authorized. And like, if you, and when they fought back against that, they would return access to some people, but they would warn them that if they ever disputed any future charges on their credit cards, they'd be banned for life. Right? So like, they had a whole thing where they're essentially like, yeah, unauthorized charges that are legitimately unauthorized. If you complained about that, your punishment was being banned from the game and like everything you spent up to that point again being taken.
Yeah,
away from
it's
you.
been a long-standing thing, and this actually applies to an absolutely massive amount of game companies, including PlayStation, Microsoft. I think Square Enix does it. If you get charged for like your Xbox account and you file a chargeback, your account is dead. Like, they will kill your account because they don't fuck with credit card chargebacks. They just
Yeah.
go, oh, fraudulent, don't give a
Yeah.
shit,
Yeah.
die.
But in this
So
case, it's
if
a
that happens to
legitimate
you,
chargeback.
be aware
Yeah.
that you may kill your like Xbox account.
Yeah. And
I'm not
again,
saying don't do it. I'm saying
even
fucking get ready.
and even when legitimate and therefore and they give people back their shit, they're still like, but don't you ever, you know, like it's crazy. So all this,
I
you know.
refunded something on the Stony store a million years ago. I think it was I forget what it was, but it was supposed to come out a certain hour, and it didn't. And I was buying it for stream purposes, so I got through Sony support. I'm like, "Can you refund this? And you failed to provide the game by the date that it was supposed to." And then they refunded it and said, "This is your one refund on your account ever." And I'm just thinking, like, that's not real. That's not a fucking thing. Shut up.
So yeah, they actually, the FTC went on to mention as well that like Amazon, Apple, and Google have also had similar instances of this type of shit in the past. But then one of the other major ones is just, it's the obvious, but it's like, yeah, up until 2018, kids could buy V-Bucks with no parental consent or card action required. So obviously, hundreds of thousands of dollars in racked up charges and nothing you could do about it because it was through the V-Bucks system, you know. So that gets thrown on the list as well. And all of that leads to these giant numbers they need to pay, and the giant numbers they need to refund to people, which I'm surprised it's not more.
We'll take them about a month to recoup.
That's like, if not a week, practically at this point. Because
I found some people talking about it. It looks like about 20 days, maybe 25 days.
Yeah. Because the whole point of these practices, when you're aware of them and you deliberately are like, fine, we'll put that mute button in, we're just going to hide it over here and make it annoying. Like, that's the intent on display. It's showing you that, like, no, we know how to game this for maximum money. We know that we're, like, fucking with kids' privacy, and until we get caught, whatever. And now that we get caught, cool. Give it 3 weeks, give it 4 weeks, fine, you know? So I mean, even though it was a 4.0 issue, everyone is in agreement about this, but it's like, if it's just the fine and then no other actions, then that's not even good enough, right? You need to have that shit come in such a way where, hey, no one else can do this, and where you're not going to be fucking targeting kids. Like the
Laws
moment
in
your game
which
is, go ahead.
laws in which the only penalty is a fine is merely telling poor people they can't do it.
Right, right, right. Yeah, exactly. And it's times like this too where like you have this is the other end of the slider from Nintendo. Just talk to your friends in real life. Don't add anyone
Oh
online.
yeah, the wild
Like
opposite.
you know what I mean? Like you don't need a friend code. Actually, what is an
You don't
account?
need online even.
Yeah.
We're gonna just make the online so bad a predator could never get to you.
So just like there's somewhere in the middle we can land in a sane place, but you know when you don't have the Nintendos out there being ridiculous about it, you go to the other end where like Epic is straight up putting the candy on the floor, and you know leading the kids back from the elementary school. Like it's wild about it. And the thing is too is like you have to imagine and if you're seeing this kind of nefarious behavior, then there's no reason to give any benefit of the doubt towards what they're going to do with that type of data. And collecting kids' data in general, data has become a massive, expensive, super valuable commodity in our modern day. In fact, you know that any app where you know you don't pay for it, it's something where it's because you are the product, right? All that shit, social dilemma, etc. Collecting kids' data is protected and illegal for a reason. But if you do it anyway and you have it, now you have an illegal but super valuable thing that is going to, you know, it's like collecting fucking serial buying, purchasing habits of a household. Like you can still hold on to that shit and use that and probably find people that'll buy it and or would do whatever you will with this illegal collected child data. You
Hmm.
know, I don't know if they're being ordered to destroy or whatever the case is, but like them deliberately holding on to that shit and them deliberately collecting it up until now does not mean that like that no longer has value to them. So yeah, it's like good that something's happening in this regard, and when you sort of lay it all out on paper, it's pretty fucking crazy how nuts Fortnite went. And you know, anything that gets to this size, it's not surprising to you know pull back the fucking curtain a bit and see some bullshit going on. But at this scale, it's less about the fine and it's more about how do you make them not do this shit. You know.
Um, well, this is the FTC, right? The European Commission and Australia haven't gotten a hold of them yet.
Certainly.
So it's quite possible that eventually they will have to pay so many fines they might actually want to change something.
Yeah. Um, I mean, we're gonna, you know, we're not heading into, we're firmly deep entrenched in the fucking loot box micro DLC era, right?
Hmm.
It's normalized to the point of like, okay, fine, don't hurt me too much is the way we feel about these things. Yes,
Hmm.
you're getting a battle pass. How bad is it gonna be, right? What is the question? So, like, every time there's shit that pushes back and puts a wall up in place, thank God there's at least a wall somewhere, you know, to just be like, yeah, that's too far. You can't fucking do anything you want and get away with it. Like, so yeah. Anyway, good on that. And shout outs to dark patterns, a term which I've immediately adopted into the lexicon.
Hmm.
Whenever if I see some sussy behavior, I'm gonna accuse you of dark patterns in the future. That's a good word.